This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. Recently, I started using Anchor as my podcast host. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch in one place. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Friday, April 15th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From the New York Times, Russia-Ukraine war summary. Ukrainian officials are saying more than 20,000 people have been killed in the heavily bombarded city of Mariupol alone. The World Bank has announced $1.5 billion in aid focused on government services and healthcare to Ukraine, and has said it will provide aid for countries running short on food imports because of the invasion as well. And the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, the Moskva, has been seriously damaged and its entire crew evacuated after a reported missile strike led to the detonation of onboard ammunition stores. There have been mixed reports of the ship possibly even sinking, but at the moment at least, U.S. defense officials are saying they believe the vessel is still afloat, and Russian officials are saying they've towed the ship to port for repairs and have put out an onboard fire. Much of the news out of Ukraine and Russia right now is related to ever-increasing sanctions against an ever larger list of targets, the possibility that NATO might expand and strengthen before the end of the year, and the question of what will happen when Russia's war machine, which has been retargeted toward the eastern portion of Ukraine, begins its new assault in earnest. From The Verge, Stripe, Alphabet, Meta, Shopify, and McKinsey launch new carbon removal initiative. A veritable who's who of tech and consulting companies have invested not quite $1 billion for purchasing captured carbon. These companies have committed this money, $925 million so far, through a new joint initiative called Frontier. And the idea is to show that there are resources available for companies willing to invest in carbon capture technologies, which pull CO2 from the atmosphere in a reliable, scalable, and provable way. So the carbon capture industry can take off alongside renewables, incentives for making cars and gadgets more efficient, and other efforts meant to moderate the effects of climate change. And from Al Jazeera, death toll hits 154 following attack in central Nigeria. Over the weekend, a series of attacks by gunmen on motorbikes across Nigeria's Plateau state resulted in 154 confirmed deaths so far, and an estimated 4,800 people who have fled their homes, fearing further violence. Government forces have been deployed to pursue these gunmen, but armed criminal gangs, sometimes affiliated with the terrorist organization Boko Haram, sometimes not, zipping in and out of villages on motorbikes before hiding in dense forests where they're difficult to track, have been a persistent problem in rural parts of Nigeria for years. The government regularly says they'll handle these groups, but they've yet to make much of a dent in the problem, and there are reports that these criminal groups may be working together with local separatist factions, which could amplify the scale of the issue in the coming months. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.